Coming up on OU Nightly. As fire danger continues to loom, we bring you team coverage of what's coming and what preparation is taking place. And not even open for a year at its new site, Norman Regional Hospital struggles to stay afloat. Will services be cut?
And I'll be tracking the storm system that's going to bring this extreme fire weather and talking about what other risks we could possibly see from it. This is OU Nightly.
High wind warnings and red flag warnings are in place across the whole state. We're kicking off our team coverage of extreme fire danger. Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Abby Hollinsworth.
And I'm Hallie McPherson, and OU Nightly meteorologist Brendan Jackson joins us, telling us how much of the state will be impacted. Brendan, give us the latest on those winds and warnings.
Yeah, we've got watches and warnings for both high winds and fire across much of the southern plains. Now, let's take a look at how that looks here across the state of Oklahoma. We've got a red flag warning across much of the state. The only county not impacted by this red flag warning right now is McCurtain County down there in the southeastern part of the state. This is our extreme fire risk warning here. Now, as far as high winds, pretty much the entire state once again covered by a high wind warning, high wind advisory down here in the southeastern part of the state. Now, the combination of these high winds and our very, very low humidities, look at how dry it is across the state here. These are our big ingredients for that fire risk and what's going to kick that off tomorrow. Now, coming up later in the show, I'm going to be talking more about these fire dangers, the wind gusts, and going into a deeper depth into what is causing all of these issues.
Thanks, Brendan. We have team coverage ahead of tomorrow's extreme fire risk across the state. OU Nightly reporter Abigail Franklin is out live monitoring the conditions today. Abigail, you spoke to forestry officials ahead of the threat. What can you tell us?
Well, it's already pretty windy today, and tomorrow is only going to get worse, as we said, and that's exactly why state foresters and local fire departments are asking Oklahomans to avoid any activities that could start a fire. And that prevention can begin with changing some of your daily activities.
Dragging chains, throwing out cigarette butts near grass, and many other daily activities can lead to this. Wildfires like this can start in an instant.
Honestly, it's a perfect storm for fire weather.
Oklahoma forestry official Keith Merks says the department is working around the clock as conditions worsen across the state.
We're prepared in situations like this, and we pre-position crews out around the state in anticipation of where we think fire might occur.
With winds expected to reach 60 to 70 miles per hour, the department says common sense goes a long way.
I really think it's very helpful when fires that can be prevented aren't started. So just being careful out there, especially when we see the weather conditions do what they're going to do.
And if a fire starts, Oklahoma Forestry Services is ready to assist where they're needed.
When local fire departments need help, they call us and we go and help them.
Now, it's important to note that if you do accidentally start a fire or see a fire, you do need to call 911 to get that local fire department en route. And as Smokey the Bear always says, only you can prevent wildfires. Reporting live for OU Nightly, I'm Abigail Franklin.
Thanks, Abigail. On those precautions we should all be aware of.
Continuing our team coverage, Norman Fire Department is preparing to respond to the high fire risk. OU Nightly's Spencer Plato tells us how they plan to keep everyone safe.
As an extreme fire risk threatens much of the state, local agencies are gearing up to fight the unexpected.
We've been watching the weather, looking at the reports. This week we've been really paying attention to our wildland firefighting equipment, our brush rigs, our reserve apparatus.
Norman Fire Department Deputy Chief Joel Chesser says the department is prepared and has placed an elevated grass fire template, meaning extra staff and units will be dispatched to calls.
Whenever you're talking about 50-mile-an-hour gusts, you're not talking about a fire traveling a few feet every minute, you're talking about seconds. So our response, we're very serious about it, watching, taking every call very seriously and responding quickly.
The Oklahoma Forestry Services say they are ready to assist local fire departments if needed.
We have heavy equipment out there, bulldozers to assist should we need them. And we also have aircraft ready to go to provide air support if we need to airdrop on any of these fires. So we're ready to assess and assist with all that as needed.
Whenever they go to the head of the fire, one of the firefighters is going to jump out. He's going to grab his whip line.
Chesser says the city of Norman and the fire department are in constant communication to keep residents safe.
If you see a big plume of smoke, the best thing you can do as a citizen is take care of your house, lock it up, make it as safe as you can, and have an evacuation plan. Having good evacuation plans in place is essential.
Reporting in Norman, Spencer Plato, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Spencer. You can find more information on fire safety or any city notices on the City of Norman's website and the Norman Fire Department's Facebook page.
Without even being open for a full year, the Norman Regional Hospital is struggling to stay afloat, announcing they are open to partnering or selling to another health system. OU Nightly reporter Cariana Gamboa has more about the future of the hospital.
The estimates are we're going to run out of cash in our next fiscal year. That starts in July.
A special session was called by the Norman Regional Health System Board of Trustees where they discussed 3 options for the hospital. Borrow money to stay independent, sell or partner with a larger organization, or file Chapter 9 bankruptcy.
This is what we want to do. This is what the Board of Trustees, all from Norman, want to be.
The trustee board says they are fully committed to keeping the hospital a public trust and independent-owned health system, but will consider other options only if necessary.
Whatever the arrangement is, I want to do so with people that I trust are doing it in the spirit of this hospital, its staff, its physicians, and the patients of this community.
The pivotal decision that's in the board's hands has some patients worried they might have to get care somewhere else.
And that would be my fear, like not even so much for me, but for, like I said with my husband, he'd never go anywhere else.
If the board chooses to stay independent or file bankruptcy, that could possibly mean services being cut. For now, the hospital authority says they are looking at all their options and will discuss at their next meeting. Cariana Gamboa, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Cariana. We will be following the story as it develops. The next board meeting is scheduled for the 24th.
And 2 policies from the Trump administration are being challenged in court. Clay Webster has today's national headlines from the News Center.
A federal judge has ordered 6 federal agencies to reinstate probationary workers fired last month. Right now, the order affects the Departments of Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Interior, and Treasury, with a chance other agencies will be included later. This comes after a U.S. District Judge ruled today the Office of Personnel Management illegally directed the agencies to fire probationary employees. And nearly 100 people were arrested today after a protest in Trump Tower in Manhattan. Demonstrators gathered in the lobby to demand the release of Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist detained for his involvement with pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University. The protest was organized by Jewish Voice for Peace, a self-described anti-Zionist Jewish organization. And President Trump is taking the question of birthright citizenship to the Supreme Court. The Trump administration filed several emergency appeals today asking the Supreme Court to lift restrictions placed by lower courts on Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship. If upheld, the executive order would deny citizenship to those born after February 19th whose parents are in the country illegally. And Russian President Vladimir Putin says he supports the proposed ceasefire in Ukraine in theory, but has some reservations about how it will be verified. Abby, Hallie, back to you.
Thanks, Clay. An active outbreak is still affecting many states across the nation. Local officials are advising students on how they can keep themselves safe.
And the world has never been the same since the COVID-19 pandemic. How some are still feeling the effects. Coming up.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Cases, including here in Oklahoma, OU health officials on campus are hoping to slow the spread. Cariana Gamboa continues our measles coverage in today's Health Beat.
We first told you about the 2 probable cases in Oklahoma this week, and while we don't know where those are, campus health officials want to help students know their risk. We know Goddard Health is working closely with the county health department to monitor the health risk in Norman. They say getting vaccinated is your best defense.
So the great news is that the measles vaccine is highly protective. So 1 dose is 93% effective, and 2 doses is 97% effective.
A reminder, OU students can check their vaccination status through Goddard's website. And keeping an eye on national cases, more than 260 have been reported across 15 states, with California, Vermont, and Maryland now added to the list. States considered outbreak areas are Texas, New Mexico, and New Jersey, according to CDC guidelines. This year's outbreak is only the 3rd time cases have passed 200 in almost 30 years. 5 years ago this week, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. Health officials say while most of the population has fully recovered, some people have developed symptoms after their initial infection, known as long COVID. Data shows about 30% of adults who have COVID still have symptoms like breathlessness and joint pain. Spring will be here before you know it, and if you're reaching for the allergy medicine, experts recommend taking it before you have symptoms to maximize the effect. Abby, Hallie.
Thanks, Cariana. OU men's basketball season was on the line last night.
Coming up later in sports, we'll tell you the story of how one Sooner never lost faith.
And more on the fire and wind risk, as well as what's causing all of this to happen. Stay tuned.
Love the hustle, Cliff. Who are you?
Your lungs.
We're quite proud of you.
Even though you quit smoking years ago, you may be at risk for lung cancer.
Okay. Well, with the routine screening, you can detect it early when it's more curable.
Sounds good, guys. Can I get a little space here?
Biologically, no.
Okay.
Listen to your lungs. Get a routine screening that could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at SavedByTheScan.org.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up, and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
Oh, right. Look at you taking the stairs. Who are you?
We're your lungs.
We are proud of you for quitting smoking, but you still may be at risk for lung cancer.
A routine cancer scan can detect it early when it's more curable. Good to know. Well, I gotta go somewhere.
So do we.
So do we.
Listen to your lungs. Get a routine screening that could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at SavedByTheScan.org.
And welcome back to OU Nightly. Let's take another look once again at the fire risk we have here across the state and across much of the Southern Plains in general. Red flag warnings across the entire region, as well as high wind warnings for much of it. High wind advisories only down here in the south. So our biggest threat for high winds is across the northern and western sections of Oklahoma. Now, why those wind advisories and warnings are in effect, we see these wind gusts almost reaching 60 miles an hour, if not over 60 miles an hour across much of the state tomorrow in the middle of the afternoon, moving up from the southwest across up to the northeast across Oklahoma. Now, how this is going to play out and why this is all kind of an issue, especially for fire, is we see this really dry air down here. All these browns, this is their dry air being pushed down across Oklahoma. These are going to keep our dew points and our relative humidities very low, as well as bringing these really strong winds in. What's really going to create these strong winds is this big low pressure here that's going to sit here and it's going to strengthen. Now where we have this real strong gradient here is where we're going to see those highest winds moving across as the air is being pushed from high pressure to low pressure very fast. So that's going to create those really high winds, which is going to create a problem for fast moving fires and going to make them very, very hard to put out. Now, let's take a look at how this system progresses. We see this cold front here that's going to move through eventually. Not going to create too much of a problem for us. Some storms over here across the Midwest. That's going to induce a bit of a severe weather risk now. But as this cold front pushes through, we're going to see it move into the southeast, and that's going to create a bit of another risk for severe weather on Saturday down across the southeast. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has issued a couple of outlooks in this regard. Up here across the Midwest, we see a moderate risk here. Much of this area here up the Mississippi River is going to be in that risk as well for tomorrow. And as far as Sunday is concerned, that threat's going to move more down into the southeast. So for any of you going home for spring break or traveling down to Florida, this could be a bit of an interesting situation. We could see a very, very strong risk for high winds, severe hail, and potentially some tornadoes as well. So now taking a look back here in Norman, how it looks out here right now, we see pretty pleasant right now. Couple clouds, not too many. 79 right now, that dew point very, very low, relative humidity at 20%. Overnight tonight, those temperatures are going to drop down into the 50s and 60s across the area. And moving ahead into the next couple days, we're going to see those temperatures drop as that cold front moves through, then start rising back up as we move later into next week, breaking up into the 80s before our next system decides to move through in the middle of next week.
Coming up after the break, sports is next.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Jason, let's go see your room.
That's not right. How was it? Is it good?
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Hello, I'm Brooke Griggs, and it's time for sports. According to ESPN's Joe Lunardi, if OU basketball beat Georgia, they had a 90% chance of making the NCAA tournament. If they lost, it dropped to 65. But in the first round of the SEC tournament, OU freshman Jeremiah Fierce finished strong with 29 points, but not before senior Jalen Moore hit this three to give OU an 8-point lead with under 4 minutes left. Mohamed Waggy then sealed the deal with his offensive rebound. Sooners win 81-75. And then eating up the competition before his next meal, OU Nightly's Arab Dahu has more on Waggy off the court.
This month, Muslims are currently observing the holy month of Ramadan, where people like me and Mo don't eat from sunrise to sunset, and I can't imagine anything harder. Except when you're playing basketball as well.
Mo brings life to any road.
For him to give every ounce of energy to our team.
These are just some of the things most teammates and coach had to say about this time for Mo. However, for him, this is more than just skipping the eating and drinking.
It's more deeper than that, since you gotta focus more on your deen, make sure you get away from a lot of stuff that you normally doing every other day, and then just focus more on being a better person in your religion.
And while Mo may be away from his family, he still has that sense of community around him.
Yeah, the train itself and Abby, the nutrition is pretty much on top of it to make sure I'm getting everything I need. I have my teammate Yaya, he's fasting with me too, but they don't understand since they never did it before. That's why it's probably a little hard for them to understand, but it's pretty funny to them. They be trying to bring water. Mo, you want to drink water? No, then I can't drink. It's just funny.
While they may not understand what Mo is doing, some players do believe he does play better.
I think it brings a level of discipline, and I think that actually translates to his game, to where he's able to lock in and be more aware and be more pay more attention to details.
And for Mo, playing SEC basketball while fasting is what he does best.
I feel like I've been fasting for a lot of years now, and then I always been playing sport, whether it was soccer, growing up in Mali. I always been fasting and playing through it, so I feel like I'm gonna be okay.
Reporting from the Lloyd Noble Center, Arab Dahu, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Arab. And 12th ranked OU baseball played Louisiana Tech last night. What a better way to start off than with a 2-run homer from sophomore Sam Christensen. The Sooners didn't stop there, grabbing a 5-0 lead in the second before Louisiana Tech could even bring one player home. And the rest was history. OU wins 9-5. Hallie, Abby.
Thanks, Brooke. With March Madness around the corner, Buffalo Wild Wings is getting a whole lot spicier.
There is about to be a lot more dunking than just your wings and a ranch. Basketball fans, you don't want to take a timeout on this one.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
I'm Elle Gedman at the OU Nightly Update Desk. Troopers say one person is killed after a car crash in Logan County today. According to Oklahoma Highway Patrol, the crash happened near State Highway 51 and US 77 south of Orlando. Troopers say 2 cars were involved and it is not clear if anyone else is hurt. No names have been released. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Abby, Hallie, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Elle, for that update. We'll be continuing to follow that story as it develops. And Buffalo Wild Wings isn't only a fan favorite because of their wings, but now they're bringing a new vision of March Madness with their limited edition goggles.
B-Dubs is introducing goggles that allow customers to watch every March Madness game at once. The goggles have 4 arms and 5 mirrors that can extend out and bend.
You can find these goggles online so you can watch all the madness this March. So I know we've been talking a lot about the fire danger, so what do we need to know to protect our house?
Well, first off, with those high winds, you really want to keep all your deck chairs, lawn furniture tied down or bring it inside. Definitely no open flames, because with these high winds, really dry conditions, any spark can turn into a real raging wildfire, and we really don't want that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching OU Nightly. I'm Abby Hollinsworth.
And I'm Hallie McPherson. Be sure to watch OU Nightly live weekdays at 4:30. Good night.
Love the hustle, Cliff. Who are you?
Your lungs.